What's up, guys, from New York City? Happy Thursday evening. You're watching WCS America, the Challenger League. I'm axeltoss, joined by axslav. Before we proceed along with the matches of today, I want to remind you about our YouTube channel. If you missed any of the action and you want to catch the VODs, youtube.com/official MLGSE2. They're all right there right now in 1080p HD. And those are VODs dating back like a year even. You can go watch us cast like the MVP Invitational. I think those VODs are up there too. So lots of awesome StarCraft 2 content up there. Take advantage. Drop a subscribe if you feel like it, because it's an awesome channel and you should subscribe if you love StarCraft 2 and you love watching awesome gameplay.
A lot of great content there, of course. Today so far, we've seen a couple matches go down.
We have a couple exactly. If you had said a few, I would have corrected you, because there's only been 2. We've had Oz versus Jim. Jim, the Chinese player, taking down Oz 2-1. That was a pretty entertaining PvP. And then we had Kapach versus Telia. Telia playing Zerg, then Terran, then Zerg. Kapach taking the 2-1. Very interesting third game there.
That is one way to put it.
That
was a very, very fun game. If you guys just tuned in again,
yeah,
that's real fun. YouTube up in probably an hour or two.
That's when you're going to want to watch again and think about how you play your race, because that was a very unique way of playing, I think.
It was.
Cool.
It was.
I don't really know how to describe how that game was.
It was awesome. Anyway,
yes.
our series we're on right now is going to be Hellokitty versus XY. Of course, Hellokitty.
I'm trying to resist the urge. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. I actually know Hellokitty really well in real life.
Talk about the good sir.
And I'm like holding back the urge to make fun of him, because like I always do, but people don't understand that we're friends and they just call me a jerk, which is fine. So I'm not going to do that. But Hellokitty, he hails from Texas. I think he goes to University of Texas. I went to Texas A&M.
Plays for the CSL team.
Yes, I went to Texas A&M, so we've had a few interactions. I don't know if we've actually played, but you know, one of those players that not a lot of people know a lot about. Early on in his career, he was doing like WCS last year. Did a lot of cheese stuff, and like you commentated his match last week in the round of 32, so you would know more about, you know, his specific play styles. But I heard he lost, but then he like kind of came back a little bit.
He did. You know, he kept trying some one-base stuff and didn't work, and then he's like, you know what? These guys like Heart, I'm just gonna take expansion and then just out macro him. And they did. Yeah, and he's like, okay, Heart, no problem.
Oh,
so
yeah, that was the one where he proxied in the game one. I was on a plane.
And then he lost the game one.
The Team Liquid live report thread. By the way, you Team Liquiders, shout out to you guys for doing the live report threads. I find those very useful when I'm not able to watch the stream. But go on, sorry. So yeah, I mean,
he tried a bunch of one-base stuff in a couple of games. It never worked out for him, especially with the Blink Stalker play. The Korean Terrans are too good. You just can't get him with Blink Stalkers. So he's like, all right, let's play my macro game. And his macro game is really cool. He uses Phoenix Colossi, at least in the games we saw, and he uses it really well. It's a really awesome unit combination. Not for many Protosses go with it, so it's kind of neat to see him use it. And hopefully we'll see some more of it again today here. He's up against XY.
Yes.
Chinese Terran.
XY, hailing from China, of course, came in through the qualifier. Hellokitty got third in his group involving Suppy, Ryung, and Hart. And XY, I don't know much. It's one of those players that we don't know too much about. Coming from China, doesn't have a ridiculous amount of results. You go to his Wikipedia page, you're not going to see much. What do you have to say about his play, having seen
I honestly, I mean, I haven't seen enough of his games to really say anything too much about it. A lot of these Chinese guys, they haven't played in events outside of China, so there's not too much footage of them out there. Looks like the players are ready, so we'll get this first game going on. And yeah, like I said, there's not too much footage of them out there. Of course, if you know which barcode is theirs on the Korea ladder or whatever, you can hunt them down. And Hellokitty maybe has tried to do that before, or it could just be, you know, he's gonna play his generic game and just approach it like he would any other top Terran player.
Let's see what happens. Of course, guys, game number 1 is going to be on Belshir Vestige. And axslav left the game. But I think we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. I got disconnected from the start.
Let me tell you.
So it's okay. My
right.
computer is unnecessary. Just means no picture-in-picture action for this one.
So let's see what happens here. We are in game 1 of this best of 3. The winner advances on to the next round of the Challenger League bracket stage. I'd like to urge you guys to get on Twitter, get on Reddit, get on Team Liquid, talk about these games. Maybe call up your family, friends, tell them to turn on majorleaguegaming.com or twitch.tv/WCS_America And of course, tweet hashtag WCS on Twitter, and you'll get your tweet on the bottom of the stream there during the games, and at the top during the breaks. But here we are in game 1 of this best of 3 between spawning in the top left-hand location. The red Protoss player hailing from China. He is XY. His opponent in the bottom right-hand location. Wait, I just got those mixed up, didn't I? I did.
I mean, yeah, but don't worry about it.
You know, I think it's the curse of the day, because Kalaris actually messed up too, one of his intros. And it was pretty...
He would never. I don't believe it.
He called...
I don't believe it. On to Hellokitty.
No, his was more excusable, because he mixed up the Duran brothers, which happens. But this is the red Protoss player in the top left. It's Hellokitty. Axslav, you leave the game, and this happens to me.
That's why we're a team, man.
Yeah, XY is the Terran player in the bottom right. Hailing from China. So PVT, Belshir Vestige.
So this map is going to be interesting because, you know, we've talked about it before. The fourth base is often kind of difficult to take on this map. So that's something that Hellokitty may have to think about. Of course, you know, if he goes to that macro game, it is likely to be that Phoenix Colossi style that he showed before. And that's actually a great style as far as making sure you're not too worried about drop play. I mean, Phoenixes are obviously very good against medevacs as they can shoot them and fly around into airspace where your ground units normally can't get to. So we'll see if that works for him as well if it goes to that mid and or late game.
See a Reaper opening here from Mr. XY, a very safe standard opening. Of course, the idea here being get some scouting information done, even being a little bit annoying, dropping an engineering bay at the natural. Going to cancel that right away once he sees the Zealot. There's a danger there from Protoss. If you skip that Zealot, it's going to be a little bit harder to take down that engineering base, so I'm okay with that move. SCV acting as bait here, drawing the Zealot out. The Reaper getting some damage done. Stalker's going to pop out, though, is going to protect his friend, but XY able to spot that expansion.
Of course, very important there to scout with the Reaper. That's the primary purpose. If you can get, you know, every kill you get, every damage you put on those units is nice and all, but actually getting the kills isn't as important as knowing exactly what the Protoss player is up to, especially against Hellokitty, who's showing a very diverse set of builds. You know, he can do 1 base, he can do 2 base, he can do 3 base, 4 base. Very experienced at a variety of styles.
Placing his Robo at the back of his main base, so definitely does not want that to get scouted by his opponent's Reaper. Now, Belshir Vestige is an interesting map as far as Reapers are concerned. There's not a lot of maneuverability to try to jump into your opponent's main base. In fact, there's pretty much only 2 entrances, which is to the right of the main base. Right outside the natural, in front of the ramp, and right behind the ramp. So, as long as Hellokitty can patrol properly with the Stalker, be relatively active with that Mothership Core, this Reaper shouldn't be able to find out stuff that Hellokitty doesn't want it to know.
Probably not. Interesting move from XY. Very fast engineering base. Plus on weapons is already going underway.
Oh, wow.
He actually built that as his first building after the barracks and command center. So definitely trying to get a significant lead in upgrades, which is a neat move. This is something you see Protoss players do sometimes in this matchup. Get that forge super fast.
Reaper
is... He's going to see the Robo.
And the 2 gateways. Where's the Robo Bay?
Oh, not seeing that actually kind of sucks.
That's it's like the thing he needs to see.
Yeah.
And he's not going to spot it.
No.
The Reaper will get that. Oh, the Time Warp!
Is not going to get it.
It's going to be wasted.
So the reason why it's so good for Reaper to see that is because a support bay that fast means that the Protoss isn't getting fast upgrades, which typically means there's a very high probability of going for a 2-base Colossi push.
Yes.
Versus just seeing the Robo and 2 more gateways just means the Protoss is playing standard Protoss. Because it's pretty typical to get the Robo, to get the Observers early out, to spot Widowmine drops, etc., and just kind of feel out what the Terran's doing. So he thinks it's a very normal build. It is still a fairly normal build, but the fact that there's a high probability of it actually ending up being a Colossi timing is something very significant, especially if, you know, he doesn't get the Vikings out in time.
Yeah, additional bunker, too, as well. You know, that's a really good point. Now, do you think spotting the Robo hidden as it was, does that tell him anything as far as, okay, he's trying to hide this for a reason? Because generally you're not going to try to hide that, because that's actually a pretty vulnerable spot, maybe. Because being near the edge, it could be vulnerable to drops or whatnot, versus putting it in the middle of your base. You know, just spotting it way back there, does that freak him out a little bit? Maybe he can guess from that. Oh, he saw.
Yeah, he did a
But
second
anyway,
map.
you understand my point, though. Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know,
Okay.
this map drops can't really hit that easy from there because there's no airspace.
Sure.
So it could just be trying to avoid a scan or something. And,
Right. Okay.
I mean, he knows what's going on right now anyway. Already started +1
that
armor.
Colossus isn't trapped, is it?
Wait, how? I couldn't get there. There's no way.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah, because that's not a real
Yeah.
facility.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Thanks. I thought Colossus came out.
The
of
only
that
way
thing.
he could get. Yeah,
Unless a warp person dropped
yeah
it back there.
he could have just ditched
That's
it.
what I thought happened, Nick. Leave me alone. Jeez.
Anyways, this is actually a very surprising move up for XY. No stim means he can't escape very easily, quite yet. I mean, it's not really dangerous because he knows with the speed at which Hellokitty is teching for those Colossi, he won't be on the map right now. So he's just making sure there's no proxy pilots moving out. But he does not want to engage, knowing his opponent has that the Colossi tech up. I mean, Marines are not going to do well.
Now, Hellokitty is going to be very surprised to see those Marines out there with that Stalker.
Yeah.
Is that
I mean,
Stalker
they're
died?
not gonna stay out there for too long.
You don't think so?
No, because they would have to use a. Well, we'll see. Maybe I misspoke. I mean,
He's been pretty aggressive with these guys.
as soon as he sees the Protoss army move out, he'll move back. What he's trying to do is just keep the Protoss in the dark, so Protoss is afraid of potential drops coming in from different angles, doesn't know where the Terran army is, worried about counterattacks, and also make sure no pilots get close to him. So he's posturing aggressively. But he's not looking to directly attack the Protoss. He's looking to do counterattacks and initiate a base trade. And in fact, it actually might be exactly what's going to happen. And this is not what a Protoss wants to have happen.
Now, Hellokitty saw those medepacks jet up into that northeastern location.
Yeah, he saw the Marines there, too.
So he might have an... Okay, and now he's definitely going to know this is going on. Does he have another support to recall?
He's got a recall instantly. He's trying to get him grouped up. He does it.
Next is getting targeted down. It's
Oh,
too
but-
little too late.
But the Marines are getting so close.
They're trying to run away now.
Yeah, he was looking to see if he could snipe the Colossi right as they warped in there with the recall. It just didn't. So he ended up losing a bunch of guys there.
So you can't target them when they're in their shadow mode.
No, but if you can get right up next to him, you know, he's
Right
probably
when
just
they pop.
Yeah. The problem is
Dangerous prospect.
he didn't have enough Marauders in a composition to really try that move, because even if he shoots right when they pop, they all shoot their lasers and all his Marines die instantly.
Hellokitty very proactive about this forward probe.
Yeah,
Very
that's
cool to see this close with pylons.
another counterattack coming in from
my
XY
gosh.
here. This time the Nexus is gonna die. Can Hellokitty hit the force fields correctly?
Yeah, he has to retreat.
Actually, I mean, they're just medevacs, so actually he can't. He's dead. His base is dead. Maybe he can win a base trade.
Well, we're going to see what happens. The Colossus coming forward here. His opponent's Terran army is approaching into his main base, and he has nothing to deal with this. He could recall back, I guess, but choosing not to just yet, going straight for that main base. But
I mean,
there's a rule in StarCraft too, Nick.
Yeah, you don't want to base trade a Terran. He can't recall back though. If he does, he's one base versus two,
And he just used the time one.
Yeah, and he can never. If you recall back, he can never leave his base and Terran's 1/1 upgrades. Like he has to try to go for this timing. And I'm actually surprised XY is trying to defend this. Actually, he's doing well.
Would you suggest just lifting everything?
Yeah, I would have thought he would have. He had pre-planned base trade. He could have lifted everything out and regrouped and fought later. But I mean, there's only one Colossus left, so the 1/1 bio, once it comes back, will finish this. Even if Hellokitty's able to get up this ramp, if he can snipe those Vikings, keep the Colossus alive, maybe. But with the upgrade differential,
And he still has to deal with the army that's going to be coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is going to be the end of game number 1, as the Terran player is up 72 to 27 in supply. And there's the G from Hellokitty. So that was very interesting as far as the Terran player leaving his bio across the map and just playing with the intentions to counterattack right as Hellokitty, pushes outside of that comfort zone, outside of that natural expansion. What do you make of that decision to go for a strategy like that?
I mean, it's a foolproof plan.
Yeah.
If you know a Protoss is going to go for a post 10-minute timing and you adopt this style of Terran play, it's actually almost impossible to lose the game. Which is why you don't see Protosses always do time attacks. They mix them in every once in a while to try to catch Terran off guard. But if a Terran just postures to counterattack and keeps your units just elusive in a corner of the map where you can't really pin them down, you're never going to get a timing done. And if you do go for the timing, you're going to end up in a base trade, which of course, a Terran is favored. And so it's one of those situations where as a Protoss player, if you can identify your opponent's going for that style,
yes,
you have to really quickly adjust your build. But given how ahead XY was in upgrades, it would be difficult to play a macro game from there anyway. I mean, it's probably better than taking the base trade, but it's a very, very rough position to be in as a first player.
I think it comes down to the scouting of XY and being able to identify that was what Hellokitty was doing, identifying the Robo Bay, and then going for that strategy, taking his third base so he had a backup plan, but positioning those units in such a way where we can just jump into that natural right when Hellokitty left. Great play there. Hellokitty tried to recall, but there's only so many times you can really do that.
Exactly. I mean, the second time Nexus would have died.
Yeah.
And then you're playing one base versus two, which with an upgrade disadvantage. You know, actually, before we go on break to get the next game out,
sure.
It actually reminded me a lot of the 5th game between Party and Sulky. As far as
What map was that?
It was on Star Station.
Okay.
Anytime a Zerg or Terran, if they can identify a Protoss is going for a post 10-minute timing. Usually 10 minutes is how long it takes for Terran to get a bunch of medevacs out, Zerg to get Mutas on the field.
Yeah.
And they get the mobile units. They can just say, I'm just never going to fight you. If you go for timing, I'll base trade you. And Protoss typically loses those type of base trades. So it's a very, very good counter for you. You see Terran and Zergs out there. If you know your opponent's doing an early mid-game timing, just go for that base trade and you're going to be in good shape.
All right, really cool play there from XY in game number 1 of this best of 3, but Hellokitty still has some room to work with. He must win 2 in a row to advance to the next round of the Challenger League bracket stage. Guys, stay tuned. Game 2 between XY and Hellokitty coming up.